My wife, 26, keeps cheating on me, 26, and doesn't plan to stop. I've been with my wife now since we were 16. She was my high school sweetheart and the only one I've been with. We got married shortly after college. She is my one true love. Or so I thought. She's cheated on me several times. The first time was before we were married. She went away to Cancun on her bachelorette. She said she wanted to experience someone else before we got married. I forgave her. The second time was when she went on a girls' trip to Vegas. I wouldn't have even found out, but she gave me an STD. When I confronted her, she broke down in tears and said she got really silly and isn't sure what happened. She said she doesn't remember and was taken advantage of. I felt bad for being mad at her, comforted her and forgave her. Then comes the thing that pushed it over the edge. My wife was asleep but her phone kept buzzing. I was curious, so looked at her phone secretly. She doesn't know that I know her password. I felt sick at what I saw. It was her boss asking her to meet him. Read their chat history and confirmed that they were sleeping together. It got worse. I found a Tinder account with hundreds of messages from men. She has been exchanging pictures and explicit videos. And the worst thing I found were videos of her with other men. She mainly used her Instagram to send pics and videos. I was disgusted as there are many pics of me on her page. I left the bedroom, threw up and slept on the couch. I had never felt as terrible as I did at that moment. I took her phone and transferred all the files, pics, videos, etc. to my laptop just in case I needed it for evidence of something. I asked her about it the next day and she calmly explained the situation. She said that she loves me more than anything, but she never got to experience what it was like to be single. She said that she is just having fun, it's just romance and it doesn't mean anything. I asked her how many men and she said several. She said that I should let her do this because encouraged her to get married at such a young age. She still wants to be with me but she wants to sleep around. She says it's a phase and it will pass. Needless to say, I left. That was about 6 months ago. I'm currently living at my parents' and it has been the worst 6 months of my life. I am so sad and lonely. I miss her so much. I have her Instagram login and the messages haven't stopped. She's still having romance with other men. The messed up thing is I look at all the pics and videos that I took from her phone every day. About a week ago I get a text from her saying she misses me. We text back and forth and we agreed to meet for dinner. It was the most amazing time. I haven't felt this good since I left home. We went back home and cuddled in bed. She says how much she misses me and wants me to move back in. I asked her if she will stop sleeping with other men and she said she will, but not yet. She says she'll get it out of her system soon, but in the meantime she wants me back in her life and back home. I say nothing as being with her, cuddling her, feeling her warmth, smelling her was all too incredible at the moment. She asks me if I want her to be happy. And ultimately I do. I want her to be happy more than anything. So I really want to move back home and try to make this work. But she has hurt me so much and I'm not sure I can get used to the situation. All I know is that the last 6 months have been the worst time in my life and the one evening I spent with her made me forget everything. I love her so much, but I don't know what to do. Can a situation like this even work? Divorce is a very scary thought for me. I don't even know what I'd do without her. TL, doctor, wife keeps cheating. I left but she wants me to move back in but says she won't stop cheating. Hi guys, I promise to love you if you like, comment, and subscribe. Dude, seriously? Why on God's green earth would you even think about taking back this piece of crap? She was the one who chose to get married so young, and yet you paid the price for it? Have some respect for yourself and file for divorce officially and never speak to this horrible person again. I'd rather be alone than live this kind of nightmare. Grow a backbone and start standing up for yourself. Go to therapy and stop being a doormat. Me, 32F, with my ex-husband, 35M, bumped into him 4 years after our divorce. He still wants to get back together. My ex-husband cheated on me 5 years ago and we got divorced 4 years ago. He basically went from this nerd to a well-paid corporate during the course of our marriage. I love the nerdy side of him. We had a lot of interests in common and were passionate about the same things. A few years into his job and our marriage, he changed. He started dressing better and working out more because his work was demanding and cutthroat, so I took him shopping and we picked out a new wardrobe together. Then he started shopping more, expensive watches, shoes, tailor-made suits, things he used to hate about his job. He started getting a lot of attention from the opposite romance. He was still really good to me though during that time, but then in his words it got to his head and he ended up having a 6-week affair which only stopped because I walked in on them at a party. I wanted to divorce straight away, but he did everything right at the time to try and fix things, but I couldn't handle it anymore. He then spent another year trying to win me back. Nothing that would constitute annoyment, but a lot of romantic gestures. Luckily we didn't have children. After the divorce I moved to another country and completely cut contact with him. He respected that I didn't want anything to do with him, but I would still have mutual acquaintances who I occasionally talked to mention that he still asked after me with not so subtle hints that he's still single, and I am too. 3 days ago I was in another part of the city to where I usually work for a workshop, and he was in the same conference center as me but in a different room. He came up right away and I feel like someone had sucked all the air from my lungs. We got to talking, and then when his conference has started he asked me for my number and I gave it to him because even after all these years I'm still attracted to him. He texted me asking me to come to dinner and we basically spent hours talking to each other. The last few days, it's been the same, lunch together and dinner, yesterday a movie, and talking about everything except the elephant in the room. He's more like the guy I remember dating, not the guy who cheated on me. Today he arrived at my place and basically said he still wanted to get back together with me and that he was leaving tomorrow since his conference was finished, but if I say the word, he'd put in for leave and spend more time with me, that he's never forgotten me and still wants to work things out. I have no idea what to do. The last few days it's felt like when we were dating, but when I go home alone, all I can think about is how much he hurt me. I am so confused and torn between asking him to stay and telling him to go. A part of me is still in love with him. I've been nothing short of giddy these last few days when I'm with him, but a part of me is also not wanting to be hurt again. I divorced him for a reason. How do I decide? TLDR, bumped into my ex-husband after years of no contact. Still attracted to him and he still wants to get back together. I am so confused. If you decide to pursue this, couples counseling is a must. And proceed with caution. This could be the feelings at the beginning of another honeymoon phase for you too. If you proceed, take it slowly. If you know him well enough to be alive, he won't do this again, which still doesn't mean he won't, hence the caution, continue on. But do not ignore any red flags that may come up. I, 30F, discovered my husband, 33M, was reconnecting with a female friend on Facebook and told her he was single. Throw away because it's embarrassing. I snooped my husband's Facebook on Thursday and found months of sweetheart messages between him and a woman he used to know. He tried to deny and twist what I saw and flip it on me for snooping, so as soon as he admitted it and apologized, I was so relieved that he wasn't mad at me. I basically forgave him right then and there. Now, a few days later, the things he said to her in text and the things he said to me when he was denying it are really bothering me, and I feel like I can't bring it up or it will seem like I'm trying to milk it for more validation or something. Maybe I just need someone to talk to or somewhere to get it off my chest, hence this post. My husband suffers from chronic pain and is often extremely irritable and sad. This means we have periods of time where he pulls away, and honestly I avoid him because he has nothing nice to say and basically makes me feel like he hates his life, which makes me feel awful being his wife and the mother of his child, pregnant with a second. I should say he always remains patient and kind to our daughter but is cold to me when he's going through a bad time. We were going through a period of this a few weeks ago when I reached out to him with a note saying how lonely I felt. Surprisingly, he came around a few days later and started being kind and engaging with me again. About a week later, Thursday, my husband borrowed my phone to go into the city because it has an unlimited data plan. So when I needed to use the internet to look something up, I used his tablet. I noticed Facebook was left open and I snooped. I opened Facebook Messenger and the first thing I saw was a questionable conversation with a woman I didn't know. His most recent message to her was from Sunday and it said that he didn't want her to think he was going behind anyone's back to be flirting with her. I couldn't understand what that meant necessarily, but I was obviously hit with panic. I scrolled up to get some context and was shocked to read that he was explaining his child situation by claiming that he had two women he had kids with, one who he had his daughter with and one who was pregnant now, but that he was not involved with either of them. I am the mother of both children and we are married and live together. After gathering my wits, I realized I couldn't stand waiting for him to get home to confront him, and I called him right there. We had one of the conversations that is still bothering me. When I told him I saw his Facebook, he played dumb and waited to see how much I knew before acknowledging anything. He also, of course, got mad at me for invading his privacy. When I told him what I read, he tried to say that I didn't understand the context, that he was referencing someone else in regards to the child situation, and that he was saying he was flirting in that message sarcastically. He said I was embarrassing him by forcing him to take this call in a public place, and that if I wouldn't stop snooping his Facebook he just wouldn't come home. I started crying and I said I would stop if he promised that he would look through the messages with me when he got home and explain them. He agreed. Okay, so I lied. Now I was worried that I'd messed up big and there really was nothing bad despite what it looked like. I scrolled back through about 4 months of hi s and we should get together sometime type comments from both sides, pictures of her twins, pictures of his plants, and it honestly was all pretty innocent until toward the very beginning, where my husband wrote out a long few messages about how he was struck by her when he first met her. She was beautiful inside and out, and always had a crush on her, and wondered how things would have been different if he'd told her sooner. I'm not sure how many years ago it was that they initially met, but it was probably before he and I were married, but maybe while we were dating, which is why he never was with this person. It was enough to make me definitely sure that he was not sarcastic when he'd said he was flirting, and that he was not referencing something when he said that he and I weren't together, or that I didn't really even exist, kind of. He called me back and asked if he should come home right now, but I told him no. He had plans with friends he doesn't get to see often. He started explaining that he felt bad for this girl and that he talked to her when she called him crying on the phone late at night sometimes, and that no woman was a threat to me, and that he'd never made any plans to meet up with her, so I shouldn't be upset like he cheated on me. Then he said if he really was a dog, wouldn't he go for someone else, not someone who looked like her? That really rubbed me the wrong way for multiple reasons. I responded that there's more he could be getting out of it than that, but he scoffed and said that that's not how men work. If he's getting nothing out of it, then why lie and encourage it to continue? He said again that he must have been referencing her ex or something. I told him we'd talk when we got home. He said he would delete Facebook since he can't get any privacy on it anyway, and I told him he was missing the point. He came home long after I'd gone to bed, but I woke up an hour early so I could talk to him before work. When he saw me awake, he said he would talk, but he needed to take a shower. I told him I would shower with him because we really needed to talk. When I asked him again why he had told this girl that we weren't together, he said he didn't remember saying that and he didn't know. He said that he would delete Facebook since he couldn't be trusted not to get silly and do regrettable things. He seemed genuinely regretful for being weak and for hurting our marriage, and while I had his attention and concern, I couldn't help but bring up how lonely and rejected I felt most of the time, and he comforted me and gave me a lot of affection that I'd been missing. For the next few days he was sweet to me, but now he is being cold again and I feel like a dupe and like I can't trust him. I wish I had gotten home to go through the messages and just see his face while he read the sweet messages he wrote about her being beautiful inside and out. It really bothers me how romantic he was to her and how quickly he threw shade on her looks when I found out about her. I feel bad that I'm so lonely and want his love so bad that I forgave him in like 5 minutes of talking to him face to face. I feel like this is just going to happen again next time he decides I'm to blame for the chilly periods in our marriage when he is irritable and cold to me. TDLR, I snooped on my husband's Facebook Messenger where he was sweet talking a woman from his past. He denied it and got mad at me for snooping, but came clean the next morning and I forgave him despite being really bothered by it. How do I explain what I'm feeling to him so that we can address what is bothering me? He's a bad person. Who uses people like that? Her. And also you. He will talk about you the way he talked about her to you. You just got a lemon, sorry. You got a lemon law him. This is not something that will get better. He never would have stopped until you caught him. And he tried to not stop even then. Before I decided to go through with my divorce, I started keeping track of how many times each day I felt disrespected by my husband. I ticked each hurt off in a notepad. Let's just say that I was pretty astounded by how frequently he actively chose to hurt me. He, too, was a gaslighter and insisted that nothing was wrong. But here's the thing, even if he didn't intend to make me feel that bad, the problem is that it happened often, over a sustained period of time. And it didn't get better. Once respect goes out the window, it's all downhill from there. I also strongly recommend that you talk to a divorce attorney. You likely won't be able to divorce yet, most states won't allow a divorce during a pregnancy. That gives you time to arm yourself with knowledge and face your truth. Maybe you never need to use that knowledge, but if I'm a betting woman, I'd say that you need that going forward. Good luck, up.